Hey there, this is Morgan from MorganOnScience.com and MetaMorgan on Twitter, and I'm also on Facebook as Science Cyclist, so you can find me at any of those places. And today I want to ask the question, are scientists, the typical lab scientist or PI, the most effective people that they could possibly be? So I'd like to explore this question a little bit based on some of my own experiences and some of the reading I've been doing. So one of the things I've realized that I want to talk about today, I've looked around me at some of the people that I consider very successful. And so first I probably need to define what I mean by success. I don't just mean people who are, who have big labs and are doing great science. I think that's one component of success, but that's an external measure of success. Whether or not you have a big lab or have big funding doesn't mean that you're actually having a great life and enjoying what you're doing. So to me, success is having some of the outward signs, the signs like having a great lab, but at the same time also being somebody who has a balanced life, who enjoys their life and enjoys their science and does some outside things that are worthwhile too. So, in looking around at me, at some of the people who have that kind of balance, I often think back to my mentor, one of the mentors that I've talked about, which is Marshall Edgell. So Marshall's an interesting guy, and, one of the things, the biggest thing that I've learned from him is how to effectively write grants. And the question is, how did he arrive at the knowledge about how to effectively write grants? And also, how did he arrive at knowledge of how to balance his science life with his personal life? And the way he did that, and the way that others seem to do that, is by studying themselves, doing a meta-analysis of how they function, so that by thinking about how they function, so that they can optimize that functioning. So clearly to me, with the grant writing, Marshall has spent time thinking about what works, what doesn't work, and why. But it's not just grant writing that he's done that for. I learned early on in my interactions with him that he had done that with all aspects of his life, that he really has analyzed every single part of his life and figured out how to optimize that to maximize his own benefit and his own happiness out of that. And hopefully some happiness for a few other people comes out of that too. And so I think that when I look around at successful scientists, I see people who've done that, who've really sat down and asked themselves, what do I want and how am I going to get it? So what I've realized is that, the times in my life when I have been feeling like I was moving forward and making the most progress and having good things happening are those times that I have reflected on what's going on in my life and how do I improve, how do I make it better, how do I increase the productivity and do things that overall contribute to that upward slope. And every time I stop, and there have been many times in my career when I've stopped paying attention to that, it seems like I go back on a downward slope. I think we humans, we're constantly in motion, constantly going somewhere, and if we're not going uphill and working on improvement, then we succumb to a sort of entropy and we tend to drift downhill. And I've discovered that that has happened multiple times in my life. I actually think that, for me, after I got tenure, I said, oh, wow, I've achieved my goal, so I don't need to keep striving and climbing as much as I was before. And things started drifting, doing that downhill drift until I stepped back and said, oh, wait a second, I don't want to be going in that direction. I need to continue analyzing and striving how to be a better person and a better scientist. So I think this is really an important thing, is figuring out how do you do that, and is there a shortcut for doing a better job of analyzing one's own life and figuring out how to become better at what you are, at what you do, and just have a better life in general. Personally, I think that if your idea of a science career is that you have to be in the lab 70 or 80 hours a week, slaving away just to keep ahead of the competition, that is not success. That is desperation. And there's a real difference. I mean, you know, scientists may work hard because they enjoy working hard and because they want to get some things done. But there's a difference between that and sort of the feeling of desperation that, oh, I've got to do this or my competition will get there first. But I'm going to explore that in more depth in the next few videos. So I hope you'll join me in those. And in the meantime, please leave a comment. Let me know, do you think you're as productive and successful as you could be? What would make you more successful or more happy in your career? I'm very curious because I think about this a lot, and I think it's really important for all of us to be asking ourselves and having a discussion about that question. So I look forward to seeing your comments in the blog, and hopefully you'll also tweet about it. Again, this is MetaMorgan, Morgan